what you care about, the reason that you're here. What are you seeking? What do you need in your life? What is keeping you from your best life? How can you reach your hopes and dreams? How can you reach what I call your absolute best possible life for you? How do you do that? Because my guess is you recognize several things from the failure list that are happening in your life now. What that means is you are not living your best possible life. It's impossible to live your best possible life and have the failure responses regularly happening over time. That is always, remember, a malfunction, says Dr. Carolyn Leaf. So you are here, my guess is, for one of two things. And here are the two things that we do, that I do, that my company does. Okay? We help people who are in pain. Emotional, mental, spiritual, or physical. Okay? So, if you are in some kind of pain, you're in the right place, I believe. Number two, if you are not getting in life what you really want most, then I believe you're in the right place. And I can help you get what you really want most and experience your best possible life. So those are the two things we do. Those are the two things I would say we can help you with if you feel like I've got no issue with any of those things. Okay? I either don't want what I want, which would make a lot of sense, or probably I've already got what I want, although I might say you're being deceived about that. Or I'm not in any pain. No pain, not worried about pain in the future. I'm getting what I want most. I'm positive about it and don't want to get anything else. And not afraid of not getting something. I don't have any of that. All right? This is honestly probably not for you. But if you have a pain issue or not really getting what you want most in life, or want to work preventatively so that you don't ever have those issues, maybe because you have in the past, then we can help you, and that's exactly what we do. Okay? All right? Okay. So, we're back to the genie question. What do you want right now more than anything else? Okay? And we talked about the genie, that you can wish for anything except more wishes, or probably that someone's free will would be taken, but anything else you wish, you got it. Billions of dollars, health, fame, fortune, whatever. To meet the love of your life, whatever. Any of those things you wish, you got it. All right. So, but also remember that the genie said you only get one wish in your life and you have to make it in 10 seconds or you lose it forever. Okay? So, now, I'm in just a minute, when I say go, I'm going to want you to close your eyes. Imagine that scenario that you're in a safe room for you, the doors are locked, the shades are drawn, you're alone, no one will ever know what happens in there. All right? And then when I say go, I want you to imagine Aladdin's genie or a genie saying you've got one wish and you've got 10 seconds to make it or lose it forever. And after I say go, I'm going to count 10 seconds. And when 10 seconds are gone, I'll say stop, make your wish. When I say that, write down what your wish would be or write it on your brain so that you'll never forget it, because this is crucial, in my opinion, to you really getting what you want most in your life and eliminating pain. Okay, so please answer truthfully. Imagine that this is not an imagination. You can do that with your imagination. So imagine that this one wish once in your life is not an imagination. It's absolutely real. Only time you'll ever get it. Got to do it in 10 seconds. What would you actually wish if it happened right now here today? Okay? Got that? Okay. Hope you understand the instructions. On your mark, get set, close your eyes. Time's up. Write your wish down or on your brain. If you're watching this with someone, I would encourage you, do not ask anyone else what their wish was. Let that be private. If they want to tell you, that's fine. That's different. But don't ask anyone. We need this to be completely truthful. Okay? So write down what your wish would actually be, no matter what you might tell people or even think my wish should be. What would it actually be if I could make it right now? Okay, got that down? In my opinion, nothing in the universe is more important to your success, health, and happiness than this. Because this shows you, I believe, to a large degree, which path you're on in life, the love path or the fear path, which determines whether the success mechanism or failure mechanism are flipped in your brain. Okay? Tells you which one's happening. All right? For most people, they're both happening some, but maybe it'll tell you which one is more. You probably have kind of a gut feeling about that as well. Okay. First of all, I need to apologize. I just tricked you, and I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't know any other way to get the absolute correct, truthful answer without doing this trick. There's probably others, but this is the one that I came up with. The way I tricked you is what I was really asking you with this question, the genie question, is what is your number one goal for your life right now? Now, if I'd asked it that way, chances are most of you would have given a different answer. But rest assured, however you answered this question right now is the number one goal of your life right now. And remember, Dr. Bruce Lipton says that 90% of the beliefs that flip us into stress mode, fear mode, and cause all the failure things, 90% of the signals that do that are in the subconscious. Well, the definition of the unconscious is you don't know what it is. You don't know it's there. You don't know you have it. You don't know that's the source. Okay? But your unconscious is more than 1 million times more powerful than your conscious intention. So you can say all day long that the most important thing in my life is my wife, or my relationship with God, or higher power, or myself, or a child, or at work. I mean, you can say that all day long, and many people will believing it. But this will show you the number one goal of your life right now, which for most people is not what they would answer is their number one goal. What most people answer is love, relationship, people important to them, stuff like that. But if you examine their life, that's not how they're living. And what they're experiencing is on the failure list, not just the success list. They're malfunctioning. And I believe this is the reason. Their number one goal is wrong, and it's flipping their failure switch, and they don't even know it. Okay? I've asked people this question that I just asked you more than I've ever done anything professionally. What do you want right now more than anything else? I've done it with hundreds of people, one-on-one. I've done small groups. I've done audiences of many thousands to hundreds and everything in between. I've done it more than I've ever done anything. One-on-one, I would just write it on my notepad. In audiences, they would have people write their answer to this question on a piece of paper. They would collate them backstage and then bring the results to me on stage so I could talk about them. Okay? Here's how it works. 99% of people, in my experience, all ages, all ethnicities, all color skins, all languages, all socioeconomic groups, young and old, male, female, 99% of all people answer this question wrong. How do I know they answer it wrong? When I explain what I'm about to explain to you, they tell me they answered it wrong. And I'll leave that judgment up to you once you hear this. Okay? 99% of people answer this question and the genie question in that genie metaphor with a physical or external circumstance. Health, money, stuff that money will buy, career, fame, someone else doing something or stopping doing something. 99% of people answer this question with one of those. Less than 1% of all people answer this question with an inward state. Love, joy, peace, freedom, gratitude, thankfulness, grace, forgiveness. 99% plus physical or external circumstance, less than 1% inward state. Let me share with you how it works based on how you honestly answer this question. If the number one goal of your life is a physical or external circumstance, and that's true if you answered this question with a physical or external circumstance, in the best case is that you get that, you achieve it, a promotion, some kind of fame, the tumor goes away, $100 million, whatever it is, okay? If you achieve that, and most people don't, okay? But if you achieve that, there's two possible outcomes. Okay? The first one. Woohoo! Yes! Sorry about the yelling. For 5 minutes, a day, a week, couple of months, almost never lasts more than like 3 months. Okay? And then you're right back to the next physical or circumstantial goal that you think will fill that place inside of you and give you peace and joy and identity and self-worth and self-acceptance and forgiveness and all that stuff. And then you try that and it doesn't do it. And then you try that and it doesn't do it. And most people spend their lives going from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. And then if they get to the end of their life, and a number of them have been counseled by me at the end of their life, and they are crushed with regret. Would give anything if they could go back and prioritize what they now know they should have prioritized all the time, relationships, love, and the inward state of love, joy, and peace. But now they're out of time. And it's still not, to me, a tragedy because they can start then for the rest of their life, however long that is. But it typically is a tragedy to them, and often their children and other people. Okay? That's one possibility. Illustration for that. I saw a documentary one time about Elton John and his band. And I think it started with Elton and one other gentleman, and one of them wrote the words, one of them wrote the music, and they were this team. And and in the documentary, they were saying, okay, you struggled for years like so many artists do, and then you had the big, huge success. You're overnight millionaires, famous all over the world. Wow. After all that hard time, when that happened, how did it feel? And on the documentary, he said, I kind of felt like, is this all there is? This wasn't what I was expecting. That's number one. If you get the physical or external goal, that is your number one goal. The second possibility is the phenomenon of reaching the top of the ladder and discovering your ladder is leaning against the wrong building, meaning there's not even any woohoo. It doesn't satisfy you for basically any time until you're right on realizing that didn't do it for me. Let me see what else I can find. And there's so many millions of people out there constantly searching, trying thing after thing, and none of them will fill that spot. None of them will satisfy them except real love, which most people do not do, and a lot don't even understand. They do the business deal love. Okay? So those are the two possibilities. If you get your number one goal, that is a physical or external circumstance. What if you don't get it? That's when I see people go into full-blown hopelessness and despair and never recover. They quit searching. They give up. And it's horrible to see, especially if you're a loved one of that person. The one thing, ladies and gentlemen, that is not possible if your number one goal is a physical or external circumstance is for you to get it and it satisfy you totally, completely, permanently, long term. Ladies and gentlemen, it's impossible. It has never happened. It can't happen. Okay? Let me try to prove it to you. There's two more questions after the genie question. First one, what do you want right now more than anything else? Number two, if you were to get that, what would that do for you? What would it change for the positive in your life? And then number three, if you were to get that thing and it did the positive thing in your life, how would you feel? That's question number three. Okay? What you really want more than anything else, ladies and gentlemen, is the answer to question number three. Not the answer to question number one if your answer was a physical or external circumstance. The physical or external circumstance will never satisfy you. It will never fulfill you. You will never be as happy as you want to be, as healthy as you want to be. You'll never live your best life. You can't. It's impossible. If that's true, if what we really want most is the answer to question number three, then why don't we answer that way? How come when asked a genie question, 99% of people don't give that answer? They give the physical or external circumstantial answer. I believe it's because we think, feel, and believe that if we achieve number one, the physical or external circumstance, it will purchase for us the inward state of love, joy, and peace. And most people believe it's the only thing that will purchase it. It's the only way they can get that internal love, joy, peace, self-worth, identity, forgiveness, contentment, gratitude. Ladies and gentlemen, that may very well be the biggest lie there has ever been on planet Earth, because the truth is 180 degrees different. The truth is trying to purchase it through physical and external circumstances will keep you from ever having it. Most people live a 3-step blueprint of success. It's how we grow up, and it corresponds to the physical laws of nature. Gravity, Newton's 3 laws, body in motion stays in motion. Number 2, unless something acts on it with enough power to change it. And then if number 2 happens, number 3, for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. Okay? That's natural law. It's the truth. Okay? So it's normal for us to think that acting on our physical, circumstantial situation, those are the 3 laws. Decide what I want, develop a plan to get it, put the plan into action with my willpower, and never give up until I get it. It makes sense, right? Okay. Yes, it does make sense based on the physical laws of nature. The problem is it violates the spiritual laws of nature, and they always override, and it will keep you from getting that inward state that you want and need most. I was teaching this in California one time at a big event. There were about 5,000 people there, and I asked for a volunteer. And this older lady raised her hand, probably 60, 65, volunteered, came up on stage, and I asked her the 3 questions, starting with the genie question. Everyone in the audience did it and wrote it on pieces of paper and turned it in. But she was willing to share her answers. So her answer, what she wanted more than anything else, was millions of dollars. And she explained she was working 2 jobs, single mom, all that kind of stuff. Number 2, what would that do for her? She could rest, she could go on vacations, more stuff with her kids, blah, blah, blah. And number 3, what would she feel? It was peace that she said she hadn't felt in forever. Always constant pressure and balls in the air and stuff. So I explained to her what I'm explaining today. And at the end of that explanation, I asked her, okay, is it possible that what you really wanted most all along was not the money, it was the internal peace? And she just absolutely busted like a watermelon. I mean, just gasping for air, weeping, on stage. And I felt horrible. I mean, I went over and I said, I am so sorry. You can sit down. And she said, no. She said, I want to finish this. I'm okay. I want to finish this. So when she calmed down, I asked her, okay, wow, tell us what you were going through just then, that all those people witnessed, and I know they were concerned for her too. Said, well, when I understood it all, I just had this horrible black cloud of regret that I've just wasted the last 20 years of my life going after something that's not what I really wanted. Because she said, you're right. What I really wanted was the internal peace. But for 20 years, I thought that I would get that by money, and so I've been totally focused on money, and I'm exhausted and have all these sicknesses now and, all these problems in her life, and I just felt like giving up because I've wasted 20 years. I can't get those back. She said, and then she started jumping up and down, laughing and happy on stage. And okay, what's going on? She had, I just realized, it just went through my head for the first time. If what you're saying is true, I can have what I've always wanted most, the internal peace, right now. Because it's not dependent on external circumstances or physical circumstances. It's an inward state that I can choose. So she said, it just went through my head. I can have that today. And nothing else in my life has to change. And it just overjoyed and thrilled her. And she said she did feel more peace than she had felt in probably 15, 20 years. I followed up with her about 6 months later, and she was making way more money than she had ever made after prioritizing the internal peace first, and was now happier than she'd ever dreamed. But that happened before the money did. Okay? All right? Well, here's how this works. The 3-step blueprint for success that the experts teach, and that almost all of us have from the time that we're a baby, an infant, a teenager, and even into adulthood, I describe that. Decide what you want, develop a plan to get it, change the plan as needed, put it into operation with your willpower until you get it, and never give up. Okay. Number 1 and 2 is willpower. Of that 3-step blueprint. Number 3 is expectation. Okay? Put it in, never give up with my willpower until I get it. I'm expecting to get it. So step 1 and 2, willpower. Step 3, expectation. Well, let's take a look at those. Dr. Bruce Lipton, I've already referenced a couple of times. Friend of mine, former cellular biologist, Stanford University Medical School, says that the odds of trying to achieve something that you've never been able to achieve before by willpower alone are roughly 1,000,000 to 1. Wow. Big number. 1,000,000 to 1. Let me ask you, would you go to Vegas and on one spin of the roulette wheel bet your health? And I don't mean red or black. I mean it has to land on that certain number. Would you, on one spin of the roulette wheel, bet your most important relationship, your health? No, none of us would. Well, the odds of that are a whole lot better than 1,000,000 to 1. Trying to get it through the 3-step blueprint to success that almost every expert teaches these days, and that corresponds with the natural laws of the universe. Okay? Step number 3 is expectation. Dr. Dan Gilbert, in his wonderful book, Stumbling into Happiness, he's a professor at Harvard University, did an original study experiment on the campus at Harvard, and then wrote a best-selling book about it. The conclusion of his study is this, and this is a direct quote, his words, not mine. Expectations are a happiness killer. Expectations are a happiness killer. Why would he say that? Because what they found in the study is that the instant you have that physical or external circumstantial goal, your stress, the stress switch is turned on in your brain and your stress goes way up. If you are already in stress, as most people are, it spikes your stress. For how long? For however long you have that expectation. So, our 3-step blueprint for success, which is achieving physical and external goals, is it would be hard to come up with a better blueprint for failure. So if your answer to the genie question is a physical or external circumstance, you are trying to get your best life through deciding what you want, developing a plan to get it, changing the plan as needed, applying yourself with your willpower until you get it, never giving up until you get it. That's how you're trying to achieve it, if that was your answer to the genie question. Well, as soon as you try to do it that way, from the very first minute, it spikes your stress, which causes all of the things on the failure response. So, and remember, you can't stop this with your conscious willpower. So when this starts, because you chose a physical or external circumstance, you chose that 3-step blueprint for success, which is willpower, and expectation, you have just either started this or skyrocketed it in your own mind, body, hormones, organs, systems, etc., and you cannot turn it off with your conscious intention or willpower. It is 1,000,000 times more powerful than that. The only way you can turn it off and switch it to this is by changing your goal. Changing it to what? Changing it to answer number 3 of the genie question, how would you feel? Love, joy, peace, etc. So let's look at that a second. If instead of the number 1 goal being a physical or external circumstance, where even if you get it, the one thing you're guaranteed is it will never satisfy and fulfill you long term. It can't. It's impossible physically because your stress is spiked. Okay? On the other hand, if your number 1 goal, if what you're focused on is the present moment in love as best you can from an inward state of love, joy, peace, okay, how does that change things? Well, first of all, you're almost guaranteed you will achieve it because no physical or external circumstances have to change. All that has to change is some internal energy patterns which can change very, very easily. They're not made of flesh and bone and blood and tissue. They're energy patterns. You hit an energy pattern with another energy pattern, it changes it. Very simple. 8th grade physics. Okay? Happens all the time. Noise cancellation headphones, that's exactly what they're doing. They have a microphone and they're recording the ambient noise, and then that recording is analyzed and an exact equal opposite frequency is produced to hit the ambient noise coming in, and they nullify each other and you hear silence. Okay? So if your number 1 goal is internal love, joy, and peace, living in the present moment, out of that internal love, joy, and peace, you will almost always achieve it. Once you do, no one can ever take it away from you. That's what Viktor Frankl found in the Holocaust. He said they could beat my body. They could call me names. They could do anything they wanted to my physical being, but they could not get to my inward state. I could still choose my inward state. So once you have it, no one can take it away. It usually happens quickly, again, because no circumstances or physical stuff has to change. No one else has to do or quit doing anything. Okay? And the last one is absolute magic. And I mean magic. If your number 1 goal is a physical or external circumstance, you usually won't get it. But even if you do, you're guaranteed it will never satisfy you. If your number one goal is the inward state and the present moment in love, you'll virtually always get it quickly. No one can take it away. And you get the physical and external circumstances, for the most part, as a free, effortless, automatic bonus. So you get it all if you do what goes against our seek pleasure and avoid pain nature and choose the inward state and the present moment in love over physical and external circumstances. You get it all. And this happens automatically, and you can't stop that. It's effortless.